Hi, and welcome to She's the Boss Chats. I'm your host, Jules Brooke, and in the show, I interview amazing women and female founders about what it is that they're doing and why they're doing it. It's all about us lifting up the women around us. Laura Piccardi, oh my God, it is so fantastic to be having you on this podcast.
Thank you very much for having me, lovely lady.
Thank you for coming on. Now, we met, God, it was beginning of last year, I think, when you had your book out. Is that right?
Yes.
Early 2019.
It was. It was last Jan.
And from that, you then came and did my PR Accelerate or my PR boot camp, and we got to know each other really well through that. But I haven't really spoken to you for at least 6 months.
I know.
So a bit with pandemics and things, that kind of stuffed us up a bit as well. So here's my first question to you, and I don't actually know what you're going to answer, but what do you do these days and why are you doing it?
Well, that is a bloody good question. And I'm happy I've got it this week as opposed to last week, because now we're out of coronavirus. So last week it was, I basically sit in my stretchy pants with no bra on and try and create world domination. But now I can go out and put my bra on and create world domination.
Oh, you must be thrilled to be able to put your bra on.
Well, sometimes. I'm sure all the ladies out there will agree with us. Not all the friggin' time.
No, not all the time. So what are you doing as of next week?
So as of now, no. So I am a writer, a speaker, and a presenter.
Yes.
So I focus in my previous life, which we'll talk about, I have no doubt. I've been very much in the coaching world, life coaching, performance coaching, and specializing in stress management.
Yes.
And so I'm now evolving into the next phase of that and delivering it in a much more fun way through my writing and my speaking and my presenting. Because I like to teach people through entertainment, through story. You know, anyone who's read my book will know that. And I'm kind of sick of people being told what to do, you know, like change your life in 6 easy steps.
I think we might be almost at the end of our tether, all of us, with that kind of stuff.
Totally.
Because it sounds so false.
It really does. It really does. And I just got to a point where I was completely over it. And the coronavirus gave me my perfect opportunity to make those changes, which I'd wanted to do. And again, I'm sure everyone out there is in similar situations at various times. You want to make changes, but life keeps happening. You have to keep just rolling with the punches.
Yep.
So lucky we had a worldwide pandemic. So
how convenient. I wonder if they knew that you needed that.
I think they did. And so I got to not pivot. I am literally banning that friggin' word pivot.
Oh my God.
I hate it.
Talk about overused. Yeah.
I think that was one of the catalysts actually for my change. I was like, if I hear that word one more time, I'm going to murder someone. So anyway, so that's when I really started to focus on it's always been my long-term goal is to create meaningful entertainment. And as I said, the book was the precursor to that. So I just went, why am I waiting? Why don't I just do it now?
So what are you going to do? Like, tell me. So you're going to be telling stories, or entertaining. What exactly is it?
So the best way to describe it is business satire. So I'm basically taking the piss out of business and the business world. So as you will know, being in the small business world, we do a lot of crazy shit as small business owners. And here's the thing, we all do the same crazy shit, but we think we're the only people doing it. And so I basically want to lift the lid on it. That's what I'm doing. I'm kind of exposing the world of business, but in a fun and entertaining way. And, you know, because my background is what it is in coaching and thought and behavior change, it's not just willy-nilly me taking the piss. The point of it is to kind of trivialize the stuff that we do so that you can then take something from it. Number one, you can understand I'm not the only person that thinks and does this. So that immediately lifts a weight from your shoulders.
Yes, immediately.
But then, you know, through these stories, there'll also be, you know, a few little golden nuggets in there that people can take if they want, or they can just be entertained.
So how is this going to manifest itself? So this is a podcast and a website and maybe a book. Yes. Is that kind of it again?
Yeah. So through content on my website, laurapiccardi.com is now where everything is. Through blogs, through podcasts, and through videos, and then in the physical world through speaking and presenting.
All right, so this is one of the cleverest business ideas I think I've heard. I absolutely love it. And anyone who's lifting the lid off anything and sort of getting rid of all the artifice, I'm already in love with it. But how are you going to make money out of it?
So the speaking and presenting is where that is.
Right.
And I mean, look, I'm under no illusion. It's not something that I'm going to make millions off of immediately.
Oh, don't say that and alert the gods, because you don't know. You might be the number one business satirist in the world before we know it.
That's true. So, and also let's not forget I'm British, so satire is basically in my blood. And taking the piss. But I also, so with my husband, we also have an Italian food business. So that's kind of my bread and butter, make sure that I can eat, kind of pay the rent business. Oh, I was thinking you were going to use that as a source of how to unveil what goes on behind a restaurant. Well, I don't know that ours is normal, because my husband's Italian. So I'd like to think not all restaurants are like that, because everyone would be going frigging mental. So you're going to do all this, but what was the light bulb moment and why are you doing it? Like why have you been wanting to do this since you were younger? So I've always been someone who likes to bugger about. That's one of my main things that makes me happy in my life, is to just fuck around. Excuse my French. Yeah. Are we allowed to swear? I forgot to ask. I think that's why I like you. Yeah. Okay. Fucking oath you can swear. And so, but during my business journey, I've had moments where I've squashed it, because I decided that that's not what a business owner does, right? We have to be serious. We have to be respectable. We have to kind of fall in line. And it's never worked out. Well, we thought we did. Yeah. We thought we did, right? Well, I think we've probably all fallen into the trap. And I think we all constantly fall into the trap, and then we realise and we fall back in, but hopefully not quite as far. So I've always enjoyed that. Even when I was young, I was always doing playing music. I was a synchronized swimmer, fun fact, for 10 years. Were you? Yeah. A synchronized swimmer? Oh, I've got to hear more of that afterwards. Keep going, though. So I've always been quite creative. But to be honest with you, I think I was scared to actually do something with it. Number one, obviously, the fear of it not being any good, the fear of being rejected and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I can say all this in hindsight now. And number two, I think I just decided, how can you really make a living from that? It's not a serious job. I kind of always had this thing in my brain that in order for me to be successful, it had to be, high up in the corporate world or high up in the standard business world. And so I've always followed that path, and it served me really well, in ways. I've learned a lot. I wouldn't be able to take the piss out of business if I hadn't run businesses. No, true, right? Very true. But I've done a lot of personal growth on my journey. As you know, Jules, the others don't, but I hit a massive burnout. I had adrenal fatigue, and that's what pushed me on the path of stress management. I know a lot about that. Yeah. And life coaching, and I've forgotten why I started saying that. You were talking about. Yeah, go on. The personal growth. So through that, I've obviously had to learn a lot. Through coaching people, I've continued to grow as well. And I'm just at a point in my life where I'm just like, fuck it. Like, I am good at this stuff. Why not have a crack? Yeah. Why not do what I love? And I 100% agree that you are really good at this stuff. And I'm dying to see what you do, actually. It's really good. But I also feel like, I don't know, what age are you? 38. Okay, so you're nearly 40 and I'm just over 50, and I've had exactly the same moment. And I was talking to a woman the other day who was in her early 30s, and I said, when I was your age, I don't think I ever wanted to ruffle the feathers of anyone. You're so worried about your reputation, your career, that if you put yourself out there and people disagree, that you've really fucked up something quite major in your life. So you really do kind of get nervous. Yeah. And something's happened to me since the pandemic, since January, which is really, She's the Boss has really all come up around then. Yeah. And I think I'm almost ready to start agitating and I am so sure that what I'm saying is right for me that I don't give a shit what anyone else thinks. Totally. And who is to say what's right and what's wrong? Yeah. Well, that's right. We don't know. So we can only say and do what is right for us. And I'll just tell you, one of the key things that helped me to make this change was I came back to what's important to me and what I ultimately want in life, just so everyone who's listening can kind of understand the process I went through with this, and just came back to, what are my core values? What do I actually want in life? What is my purpose, at the risk of sounding wanky? And my purpose is to make a positive difference in people's lives. Now, I've been doing that with coaching, and that's great, and I've achieved it. But actually, this is, I believe, an even greater way to do that, and do it in a different way. And also...
And I think that when you start playing, as in having fun and nothing to lose, which is kind of how I feel about She's the Boss. Like, it's not my main business at the moment, but I've got nothing to lose.
Yeah.
So I can do whatever the hell I want. It's so freeing, but I think it also resonates with other people and sets you on a path of success purely because you're doing what you've got, such a huge passion for.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I'm never happier than when I'm fucking around. If I look back on my life at the miserable times, it's always because I've, put myself in a box or, tried to contain myself. But no, I will want to be free and draw comedy willies everywhere. That's my...
Oh, I just love it. All right. So that was the perfect segue there because you were talking about your journey. So let me go right the way back. I want you to, because I reckon there's a whole lot of women that would be listening to this who might be younger, who might be just coming out of something, or even older. It doesn't really matter. But just who are going, how do you end up being able to do a business satire? What is the word for it? What is a business satire kind of business around that? So where did you start off? When you left school, what did you want to do, and what's the journey been like since then? Can you think back that far?
Well, I can think back that far, but actually at that point in time, I don't remember a lot because I was basically drunk the whole time.
Right. So moving on from
that. Look, I never knew what I wanted to do in life, to be honest with you. I've always been in the business world. My family had a business ever since I was born. We used to live above. We had a department store. We used to live above there. I was pricing things up from the age of 3, apparently.
But no huge passion for retail, I noticed.
Do you know what? I do like it, but it's just not, I don't think it's the way to go right now. I like talking to people,
So you grew up over a department store, and did you go to uni?
I did, but I'm trying to remember. I had a gap year, I think, because I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And then I came across a business diploma that you could then top up to a degree. So I did that. I didn't do the usual English thing of going away to uni. I stayed at home. I had a boyfriend, a shit boyfriend, FYI, at that point, and I didn't want to leave him. And so I did the uni thing. I did business, and then I worked for a bit. So I've always worked in my parents' store, even on a Saturday. And then I did some corporate stuff, customer service, marketing, all that, dipped in and out of different things there. And then I went away traveling. So I finally split up with said dickhead.
At last. How old are you at this stage, roughly?
I was 24.
Like
24 at that point.
Yeah, perfect.
And the best way to get over a relationship, obviously, is to go to the other side of the world.
Oh, it always works, 100% guaranteed.
Yeah, exactly. So I did that.
So you came from England to Australia, or did you go somewhere on the way?
No, that wasn't when I moved to Australia. So I did just like a little world tour. So I did Thailand and Singapore. Where I did do Australia. That's when I fell in love with Australia. Fiji, New Zealand. I think that was it.
All the things that seem so incredibly exotic to people in England.
Oh my gosh,
whereas in Australia we kind of go, oh yeah, I went to Fiji, how boring.
I know.
In the UK, they'd be like, oh my God.
I've got to tell you, I did the Neighbours tour and went to the Neighbours night. That was
Oh, good girl. Well, I'll tell you, I did Madame Tussauds, so we're
even. And so I came back from that. And so on that journey, I fell in love with photography. So I came back and I went back to uni. I did another degree in photography, video and media.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Fascinating.
And so then I always knew I wanted to come live in Australia after I'd visited. I just didn't know how, I didn't know when. So I worked in Mum and Dad's shop again for a bit while I tried to figure stuff out, did photography stuff on the side. And then my best mate, who's a scuba diver, him and I scuba dive a lot, invited me to go on holiday for Christmas and New Year to Indonesia with him. And I'd always said no because, Christmas is a family time. But this time I went, do you know what, bugger it, I'm going to come and then I'm going to move to Australia afterwards.
Oh, so you actually just made the decision in your mid-20s that you were going to move to Australia?
Yeah, so I was 28 by the time I'd sort of done my second degree and came here.
That is so brave. I mean, I know lots of people do it, but every time I meet someone who just decides to do it, I'm like, wow, it is really brave. So you made that decision. You went off and did the scuba diving. What happened from there?
So then I came to Australia, did another bit of travelling with my mate. We scuba dived, so I got to see Australia from underwater, which was really cool. We did loads of scuba diving road trips. Yeah. And interestingly, I was trying to get into TV production when I first moved to Australia. Okay. It's funny how at the end, I'll tell you the threads that have gone through all of these same things. And I mean, that was a bit of a silly idea because I had a little piece of paper that said I've done media, but I didn't know anyone. I had no experience. So I wasn't.
I'll tell you, I did the same thing in London trying to get into the music industry. And I even went and they said the best way to get in is to become a receptionist. And I even went and did typing courses to try and become a receptionist because I thought that was my goal. It's so funny, isn't it, the things we do?
I know. And then how they push you on different paths, right? So while I was trying to do that, I was working in a pub. And then I thought, you know what, I think I might do some of my fitness certificates because I really liked exercising by that point. And so I thought, well, I can just teach spinning in my spare time. That'll be nice. And then as part of your certification, you have to go to a gym and do like 20 hours work experience. Yeah. So I found a gym, went there. After doing a few hours, the guy offered me a job and offered me sponsorship to stay in the country. And I was like...
Oh, how good is that? So you knew you were on the right track?
Yeah, totally. And at that point, I was either going to have to go home or go fruit picking for 3 months because my visa was ending. Right. So I thought, you know what, I'll give it a crack. Maybe that's the lifestyle for me. So
well, whether it is or it isn't, it would get you into Australia as a resident, which is important as well.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do sometimes.
That's right.
And anyway, so me being me, I was like, well, this is nice, but I'm not going to be a personal trainer forever. So I started managing that studio, and then I opened my own gym. I found a location and converted an old video store, if you remember what videos are.
No, what are they?
I know.
Of course I do.
Yeah, funnily enough, that one had gone downhill, that store. So I converted it into a gym and opened up my very own boutique gym, which is very exciting.
What was it called?
It was called...
Laura's Gym?
No, it was a franchise actually. That's a whole other friggin' section on my on my business satire franchise.
And
satire.
But as an overall thing, yes, a good idea to get into a franchise. No, not looking back. What would you say?
Looking back, I wouldn't do it again. I think it can be good, but I think you just have to go into it with your eyes wide open. Like there's lots of pros in terms of the support, being part of a network. The support in terms of all the marketing, the branding, and all that kind of stuff. But it depends what sort of person you are. Like I realized after I'd gone into it that what I wanted to do didn't fit into their structure.
Right. And it's not it's your business, but it's not really your business that you can make those kind of changes.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're okay with following the structure and following that, great. But as we probably understand by now, that's not how I like to roll. I didn't actually have to make the decision because about 8 months into operation, I had a phone call from my head trainer. I'd gone home one Friday afternoon early, and he called me up and said, "Hey, Laura, there's been a bang and there's some smoke." And I was like, first of all, I was like, for fuck's sake, can't I just have one afternoon off?
Yeah, like just go and put a tea towel over it or whatever you need to do.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, I went back down to the studio, and as I pulled up to the traffic lights, I could smell smoke. Fire engine screamed past. I pulled up to the studio, and there was smoke bellowing out the back of my gym.
Oh, Laura.
And I mean, long story short, over the course of the next 3 hours, I stood and watched the roof of my gym fall into the street next door.
Oh my God. So what do you do when you see that happen?
Well, the first thing you do is double check that you've got insurance.
And did you?
I did.
Thank goodness.
When you set up a business, especially like I'd never done anything like that before, fitted out an entire gym. you inevitably forget stuff. You don't know what you've done. And so I remember literally being sat on the pavement, crying, searching through my emails on my phone, going, please let me have insurance. Please let me have insurance. I did. I didn't have enough, unfortunately, but that's another story. So yeah,
there's lessons to be learned in all of that as well.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I can also teach you a shitload about disabled access. That was the bane of my life for a couple of months.
Right.
So that was completely totaled. Oh, by the way, in case anyone's wondering, it wasn't an insurance job. If it was a shit one.
No, it was a genuine, this was supposed to be my business going forward.
Yeah, exactly. I hadn't realised at that time I didn't fit into the structure, so it was convenient, but not by me.
In some ways you could say it's like the universe knew that you were heading down the wrong road and needed to do something to set you back on the right path.
Totally. And actually at that point, personally, I was already burning out. I just didn't know. I didn't have time to figure it out. But it was actually a fire in the next door neighbour Chinese kitchen, and they came out, told me all about it immediately, and I was like, good, go tell the police all of that now, please.
And then my insurance company.
Yeah, exactly. So that happened. Again, me being me, I was like, this is my opportunity to show everyone that I'm a phoenix rising from the
girl.
flame. So I organised, the next day was a Saturday, and we have boxing class and coffee club on a Saturday. So we did that from a park. And then by the Monday, I'd relocated us to another gym. I'd managed to get another gym to let me operate my business out of it. So we continued operating, which was good.
Well, was it good? I mean, was that really what you wanted? Because what happened next?
So then I continued operating for about 9 months. So a few months into it, I realised, this isn't what I signed up for. The franchise were getting, wanting me to find a new site, of course, but I didn't know what insurance money I was going to get. Like, I didn't get paid out for ages. It was all, and by that point, my physical health was really not okay, and my mental health. I was basically... So tell
me about stress and what it did to your body, because I actually had a She's the Boss lunch last week and looked at 4 women who all have had pretty much burnout, and their bodies have given up on them, and they will never be the same again. And I remember looking at all 4 of them going, wow, so really stress is so bad for you that it can ruin the rest of your life if you don't pay attention to it.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I have to say, for me, it's completely changed my life, but it's taken me years to get there. But for me, so the classic ways it showed up for me, I had massive digestive issues, extreme bloating, to the point where I remember I was in my personal trainer uniform and someone asked me if I was pregnant, and I was like, I went and cried for about 3 hours after that.
Oh, you poor love. I feel a bit sorry for the person that said it to you as well, because they probably realised straight away how awful that was, and that they'd got it wrong, and oh God. But anyway,
you don't want to be that person, hey.
So bloating and digestion, I didn't realise that. What other things?
Oh, yeah. By the way, digestion is like the first thing to go when you're stressed, whether it's to not show up or show up far too much. And then I didn't have a period for 2 years. 2 years.
Good God, right.
I had adrenal fatigue, so I was constantly... Well, I was either really, really tired or wired at completely the wrong times. But when I'd relocated my gym to the other place, I literally would not be able to get off the couch. Like, that's how tired I was. And I'm sure you can appreciate, for a gym owner with a team of trainers as well.
Less than ideal.
Not ideal at all. So I was having to summon everything I could to just drag my ass in, literally fake it. When I was there, to still try and be this phoenix that everyone thought I was. So anyway, so then a few months into that, I realized this isn't working. So wanted to exit the franchise. That was a massive, massive struggle. So I had to end up going to mediation.
Easy to get in, not so easy to get out.
Especially when your fucking business burns down. Like, seriously. It's not like I've just decided I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah, exactly. You'd think they'd let you off the hook for that.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Exactly.
So extricated yourself from the gym finally. Yes. And then what? And then what was the next move?
And so, well, actually, while I was exiting, I then started my business, Uppy. And so that at that point still had quite a lot of physical exercise element to it. And then I started to understand the mindset stuff from my own personal journey. So then, however long it took me on my journey, I did coaching qualifications, NLP qualifications, and then I moved my way into the coaching with the attention on stress, because that's what I'd been through. And I realized that, I mean, as you've just said, there were 4 women at your lunch that had experienced it. You know, I think almost everyone is experiencing it to some degree.
Yeah.
And we just don't understand.
Which is why, again, sorry, just to go back to the pandemic, it's been so beautiful because it's just put a stop on everything. And I mean, God, if we feel like we're stressed, there must be so many blokes out there trying to, you know, rule the world that just didn't know themselves when all of a sudden they're home seeing their families every day for 2 months.
Yeah. And
I mean, I really hope that this is going to be part of a massive change, you know, globally about the way people look at work.
Yeah,
but anyway,
I
sorry, I interrupted. So
that's that. Yeah. So then I moved into my coaching, and that's basically what I've been doing for the last few years. I launched my book, as we've spoken about. And yeah,
what's the book called again? Just tell everyone the book's name.
It's called Unfaked.
Unfaked, that's right. So it's about not being fake, which of course was very timely as well, considering what's happening and and it's a perfect segue into business satire, which is about not being fake as well.
100%. And you know, all of this stuff that I'm talking about, you know, people might there might be a negative connotation attached to me saying people are being fake. But what I mean is just not being ourselves. So my whole mission in life is to just help people understand who are you and how can you be that person, you know, ideally 100% of the time, but with no restrictions. And as you know from what I've just told you, that's absolutely the journey that I've been on.
Yeah.
And life is so much frigging better when you are just yourself.
Yourself. Yeah, absolutely.
That's what it's all about.
Right. So you've done all this, and I love the fact that you're going to do business satire. Now, I'm going to ask you a question that you may or may not have an answer to, but I'm just interested, particularly, I guess, because this is out there about women in business for women in business. And one of the phrases that I've come up with for She's the Boss is it's about empowering the women around you. So let's try and help some other women that are there. Have there been any women along the way that you feel like have really made a difference to help you in your journey?
Yes, there are. There's a couple that jump to mind, actually. The first one was my first business coach that I had when I opened the gym. I went and got an external one from the franchise, and she actually was my life coach. She was not my business coach.
Right.
So, you know, I'd go in every week. We'd do it over the phone because she was based in Melbourne and I was in Sydney. And, you know, I'd go, right, okay, let's talk about a marketing plan today. Let's get a marketing plan sorted. And she'd go, how about we just talk about why you haven't implemented any of the other plans that we've spoken about, Laura? And I'd be like, oh, fuck. And then I just remember loads of sessions. I'd be sat in my car crying. I'd be sat in the corner of my office crying. It was.
So she's much more a counsellor than just a life coach. Have we got a name? Is there a name you can do a shout out for her?
Yeah, but she doesn't do it anymore. She actually went back into the corporate world. Her name's Georgina. And yeah, so she's the person that opened my eyes to really life coaching and thinking differently, and to understanding that it's usually ourselves that are holding us back. It's not the business strategy, which again is why I want to, you know, take the piss out a lot of these business strategies for people to understand, you know, it's coming from you. All my taking the piss comes from that place, to just get people to understand it doesn't need to be this hard, and to help them understand where to look to create the change. Yeah,
and that really fake it till you make it is actually a bullshit thing to do, and that you really want to be real all the way through.
Yeah.
And take the hits with the you know, take the ups with the downs, but in the end you're better off being real and not getting caught out, I guess, about being really fake.
Yeah.
So you said there was another woman. Was there another time when
so the other woman who still continues to impact me now on my journey is my naturopath. She just helped me through my stress response. Unfortunately, the standard medical system didn't really understand stress and the adrenal fatigue thing. And so I was misdiagnosed. I was prescribed medication for a lot of things that we just weren't getting to the heart of it. So my naturopath, she's been amazing. My body is better now than it's ever been. And she just has continued to support me through it all. And I think sometimes...
So is she still just doing naturopathy things, or is she actually doing a whole lot of stuff all around? I mean, I haven't been to a naturopath, but so is it just like I know that they give you Chinese medicines and all that kind of thing, but is there other stuff in your life that she's helped you with as well?
Yeah, so she basically has helped me with all of the different systems of my body. Naturopaths will give you lifestyle advice, but with my eating and my exercise, see, that's always been quite good, right? This is another thing for the ladies out there that are listening. So here's a fucked up story for you. So
tell us.
So I always sat at about 19% body fat for years, and so she has a machine that you sit on to measure all sorts of things. So 1 month I went and I was 19%. The next month I went and I jumped up to 30% body fat. My diet and my exercise had not changed, but my body, because it was in a stress response, it had just started converting everything into fat because it was basically trying to keep me safe and protect me. Didn't know what the hell was going on. And so it just basically had everything on high alert and was doing what it needed to do to protect me. So, that just shows you, right, what can happen.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like 19 to 30 is humongous.
I mean, that's enough to make anyone want to jump out the window right there, right? So what she did then was help me get to the underlying sources. Where's it coming from? So it took quite a long time because, we had to sort out digestive system, hormonal system, lymphatic system, my liver. Like there was so many different things. So she helped me with that. And now we just go and... top things up, and now we're thinking about having kids, so she's helping us with that as well. So
great. Yeah. Oh, well, that'll be a whole fun journey in front of you.
Oh, wait for the jokes.
I'm almost at the other end of that now. But that's great.
Just quickly as well, I forgot to say when I was talking about my journey, but again, I think it's be interesting for your listeners. I said that there's a thread that's kind of gone through all the things I've done. Because I think quite often we get stuck and we think, well, this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm going to have to do. This is it for me. But all of my things, they've been quite different, but they've always actually been very connected. So, of course, when I did business, well, that's run through everything. But when I did my degree, my focus was on women's body image in women's magazines and in the media. So my final, I did a final photography installation piece. That was all around that. My media dissertation was all around that. And so then I moved into the health and wellness industry. So of course, all that came into play. And then of course I moved, into coaching, but then the coaching and understanding people's behavior then took me right back to when I worked in my parents' department store, because my dad is like a master communicator. And so I actually learned a lot from him then that actually then really served me in understanding people's behaviour at that point. And then, of course, I've always been a piss taker throughout my life. So, of course, everything then draws together now. And I think knowing that makes it less scary for me to make changes like I'm making at the moment, because I know that everything I've done to this point has had a purpose. Again, at the risk of sounding wanky, I've acquired skills, I've acquired experiences, good and bad, that then serve me to go into the next phase. So I think that's really important for your listeners to kind of think about as well, is, everything does happen. It has a purpose.
It's all a step, isn't it? It may be a big step or a small step, but it's all leading to more experience, more knowledge, more understanding and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we've heard about the gym breaking down, which is obviously, devastating, but obviously also then led you down the path of being an author and a speaker.
Yeah.
Can you think of any other pivotal moments where, whether it's good or bad, some huge success or failures outside of the gym burning down, that have taught you things that we could maybe pass on some tips to anyone else?
Good question. Any other pivotal moments? Actually, I think even over the last 6 months has been a real pivotal moment for me as well. So my husband has lived 6 months over in Italy for the last 3 years, and then 6 months here, because he runs an Italian tour business. And the time he came back this time, and it's been really, really challenging for us to get to know how to live together again. We're both very independent.
Oh, yeah, right. Of course.
And so this time he came back, and then 5 days later his parents came over to visit, and then 2 days later my parents came over to visit, all living in our house. And
very stressful.
Yeah, we just didn't get time to kind of get to know each other again. And it put a shitload of pressure on us to the point where we were even having conversations about, are we going to stay together or not? And then, of course, you got the COVID happen. That put pressure on. His business got completely wiped out straight away. And so it really did help to put things in perspective. You know, that was another reason for me, you know, making this move, because I was frigging miserable to the point I'd even say I was depressed. He was also in a similar state, and I just kind of went, what the fuck am I doing? Like I'm talking about ending my marriage, which is absolutely not what I want, but at the moment that kind of seems like a really viable option. And all this shit that I'm worried about is not as important as that. So I'm just going to down tools for a bit and get back to what's important. And as a result, that's now, our relationship is now much stronger, which for me is my foundation, because I am very much like, woo, as I think you are as well, Jules.
Yes.
So I need
and my relationship is my foundation too.
Totally. And so for me, that has been a massive pivotal moment in my life, to really have, basically, it felt like everything had just gone to shit. To again just reassess everything and just go, no, these are the things that are important. P.S. They're really simple things. I just need to get back to that.
One of the things, though, I mean, if he is gone for 6 months every year, that would be a strain on anyone's relationship. So have you worked out going forward, and assuming borders are open, is he going to continue to do that, or are you going to go with him, or have you worked out anything around how to manage that?
No. So I went with him last year, I think, or the year before, and I didn't like living there, which sounds really spoiled because it's in the Tuscan countryside. It's lovely, but just it wasn't enough going on for me.
Oh, you're such a pampered princess.
Oh, I know, darling. We knew that wasn't going to be forever. So he actually had got people this year to run the tours for him on the ground, and he was going to stay here anyway. Again, look, that happened, and thank goodness it did.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah. He's going to be here anyway, and then we'll just pop back as and when we need to check.
Great. That's much better.
Yeah.
And will be much better for you if babies come along too.
Well, yeah, we kind of need to be in the same country if he wants to get me up the duff.
Well, to have the baby, yes, but then when you've got it, you know, either of you, if you get any space out, you'll love that as well.
Yeah, true.
So tell me about being a business owner and how you juggle work and life, and whether work and life are seamless or whether you sort of compartmentalize them.
So again, that's chopped and changed a lot over my journey. So when I had my gym, just so you know what not to do, I used to quite often sleep on a swag in my office so that I didn't have to waste time going home.
Oh, honestly, Laura. Yeah, okay, classic not to do.
Yeah, so don't do that. So obviously I worked my ass off far too much. I slept 4 hours a night for many years. That did not serve me, as we all now know. Then I went the other way, and I was terrified that if I worked too much, I was going to go back the same way. So now I don't really have strict rules. I kind of just go with it. I'm sure, everyone listening out there has their times when they're more productive and they're not. For example, when it's coming up to the time of my period, I can't think. I don't have much energy. I'm livid quite a lot of the time. That's not really my best time to be creative. So I'll either do some other stuff, the admin, the boring shit that I don't need to think about too much, or I just won't. I'll just do a little stint, and then I'll go have a walk, or do something like that.
Yeah, great.
And then other times, of course, when I am in the flow, then I'll just keep on going. So I think for me, what I've learned is it's about the outcome. It's not about how I get there. So I used to think, I have to work this many hours. And guess what? I'd work that many hours. I'd make it fit into that time. Whereas now I know I need to achieve a certain thing by a certain time. So if it means I do a full day working my ass off and then nothing the next day, it doesn't matter. As long as I get to the outcome. Yeah.
And I would definitely say, and I mean, you know, I was talking about this because I work from home and my business is at home. It is kind of seamless in some ways, but, and I like you know, we work hard when things are busy and when they aren't, but I definitely give myself permission to take days off.
Yeah.
And it might be a Wednesday and a Thursday and I'm like, you know what? I haven't actually got any meetings. I've been working my ass off. I'm just going to let myself have the time off. And I think that's super important as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree. And, you know, we live in this lovely country in Australia where it's not raining all the time like it is in England. So I want... Well,
speak for yourself. I'm in Melbourne, but anyway.
Well, okay. But you're like, yeah, you're in the middle, aren't you, of the two? So I like to have the opportunity, if it's sunny, to go down the beach, you know, in the afternoon. And so again, I'll just plan around that and go, that's good. All right. You're going to take 2 hours off to go down to the beach. Well, this is what you need to achieve. So how are you going to make that happen? So
that's perfect. Start earlier or whatever. Okay. Now I think you mentioned it earlier and I don't know whether I caught it, and there may be another one, but is there a quirky fact that most people don't know about you that you want to share?
There's the synchronized swimming one. That's a bit.
That's right. Go on, tell me a little bit about how in heaven's name did you get into that?
I got into it when I was really little because I was a very strong swimmer and there was literally nothing else I could do because I'd done all of the stuff and everything.
Yeah, because in England, of course, swimming is not the forefront of everything like it is in Australia, I guess.
Yeah, so. we do quite a lot of it, but to do anything structured, I'd done it all and then I was too young to do the next stuff. So we were at the swimming pool and Mum saw this synchronized swimming and I'd done dancing. I think I might have quit by then or I was still doing it. Anyway, Mum just said, do you want to have a go at that? Like, you can do that. You're old enough to do that. And so I was like, yeah, all right. And then I did it for 10 years.
So how long did you continue that for?
10 years I did it for, and I did it nationally, and yeah.
Wow.
I know.
Oh my God, do you think you could do it now?
I do. I can. I do have a little go every now and then, although I haven't got a nose clip, so I can't do any of the complete upside down stuff, but yeah, I do just have a little go every now and then when I'm in the ocean or whatever.
Oh, that's amazing. I wonder I never really hear of synchronised swimming groups in Australia, but there must be some.
Yeah.
Because it's now an Olympic sport, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it has been an Olympic sport for years. The Russians are the ones to watch. They're the best ones. Unfortunately, I don't know how the Aussies used to do. The English, we weren't very good. We never used to play.
Right.
Very much.
Right.
But,
okay, and now, look, this has been great. We're coming towards the end, so I'm going to ask you something that's nothing to do with anything else, which is, on your telephone,
yes.
What are the two most useful apps that you use outside of banking? Because I ask that blanket and people go, oh, my banking apps. So let's just move on from that. What else? So this is for work. Oh,
for work. Well, actually, okay, so one that I use, which I guess isn't for work, but it does help with my work, is Yoga Glow, which...
okay.
So I have to do yoga to keep myself calm and energized, so therefore I work better. So I use that every day. What else do I use for work? I don't actually use that many apps, to be honest with you. I've just...
No, that's all right. I just thought if you had a couple that sprang to mind. What about for fun?
So literally yesterday, I started using an app called Power Director, which is a video app, and I spent all last night editing videos of my little dog and putting his antics to music.
I saw it. I saw one of him when he had his new coat on and was flipping over. Yeah,
well, there's like a whole series of those videos now because I spent all night doing it. So I really enjoy that. And then I know this sounds really boring, but the Kindle app and the Audible, like I like those to just sort of either learn or escape. And that's kind of it. I don't really use much else on my phone, to be honest with you.
No, well, that's absolutely fine. I have to admit I'm terrible because I still do Candy Crush and I started it about 3 years ago. And my kids look at me and go, Mum, you must be one of the only people left in Australia that's doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, funnily enough, no, they're not. There's people I know who are above me.
There's a whole secret society of Candy Crush.
I know, it's shocking. All right, so... to wind this up, can you tell everyone how they can get hold of you and where are we going to be able to see this business satire stuff?
Yes, so on my website, laurapiccardi.com, so it's P-I-double-C...
Just spell Piccardi for everyone, just in case.
P-I-C-C-A-R-D-I.com. And then my new podcast is called Bare Naked Business.
Oh, I love it.
And that's really all you need to know right now. Everything that you could want is on my website. So
we can get hold of you, and we now know that we can go bare naked business. What a great name.
Thank you.
Well, look, I don't even know how to say thank you because that was a brilliant interview and I love talking to you. And I cannot wait to see you come out with all this stuff.
Yay,
It's going to be brilliant. And I just think you're so clever and lovely. So thank you a million times over for coming on it.
Likewise.
And I'm sure lots of people will learn a lot from this one.
Thanks, Jules. And thanks for leading the way for ladies and having these conversations, right, that are just real and not full of wank. I know I've said that word quite a lot, but...
Well, I'll be keeping my eye out as long as I don't appear in any of your business satire things because I've become a wanker, then I'm all right.
No, it's all right. I'll call the person Mules.
Yeah, okay, great. I'll know then from now on. All right, thanks so much, Laura.
Thank you.
I hope you've enjoyed this She's the Boss chat episode. It was great to have you here. If you want to stay in touch, you might also like some of the other things that we've got going on with She's the Boss. Firstly, I've got the She's the Boss show, which is on Ticker TV. Now, you can watch that either on tickertv.com.au or you can download the Ticker app from any of the app stores. So Apple and Android, and they've got an app that is for your phone, for your iPad or tablet, and for the smart TV. Or you could join us for our free Zoom lunches for female founders that we hold online. The best way to do any of these things really is go to she'stheboss.com.au, and on there you can register for the lunches, and I've also got links to the website. So either way, I hope you've enjoyed it. I'm really enjoying digging down and getting down to the nitty-gritty with these women, and I hope you'll join me for the next episode.